How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and in today's weekend build, I'm gonna build my ultimate dream PC. And spoiler alert, I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it. And consider subscribing and hit that bell if you like what you see. Now, what I have in front of me is completely new to me. This is a PC build, and I did want to do a few things on this channel that weren't necessarily about cars, but this does have to do with builds anyway. This was all put together by Fractal Design. They are a computer case manufacturer. They also make AIOs, which is a cooler, an all-in-one cooler, and they also make power supplies and computer fans. So they set up this ultimate PC build, but for me, an ultimate PC build is not exactly a normal PC build because, as you know, I make YouTube videos, and YouTube videos usually require a lot of editing. So this will be focused on editing. Now, I have built PCs in the past to some degree, and some of them even work. Today, I'm going to try to do this on my own, except for I'm not doing it on my own. This is really expensive stuff. So I have a friend today, and you might have noticed that I have a car behind me that is not my car, even though I really kind of wish it was. This is owned by my friend Greg Salazar, who also has a YouTube channel called Greg Salazar. Yeah. He's off camera right now, so you might want to. Hello, Greg.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello. We're socially distancing, not really. So we have a bunch of stuff here, which comprises the ultimate editing PC. But when I say ultimate, I don't necessarily mean top spec on everything, right?
Yeah.
So this was all chosen for a specific purpose.
Right. You know, you could go AMD, you could go Intel, you could go AMD or NVIDIA for the graphics card. One of the first things I asked you was what editing software you used.
Yeah.
And because you said Premiere Pro, that kind of allowed me to sculpt this build around that software suite.
If you get an Intel processor, a billion people will tell you that you should have got the Ryzen. If you got the Ryzen, you should have got the 10900.
You are a shill.
Yeah, exactly. You're just being paid under the table. There are specific reasons why we chose this, and we're just gonna go over everything in this build, and then we're gonna put it together, and then we're gonna do a sort of dyno test to see how well my old PC did and how well my new PC is gonna do. This is, for all intents and purposes, the perfect build for editing, at least right now.
Yeah, for your money for sure. I mean, you could go with arguably a better CPU, you could go with a better graphics card, but you're getting a lot of bang for your buck in this setup.
So dollar for dollar, this is what you want to do.
I would personally go with a setup very similar to this or this exact setup for Premiere Pro.
Okay, so having said that, everything that you see here, you can buy in the link in the description below, and do your research. Don't just go by what me or, well, I mean, you should probably go by what he says. He knows what he's talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So let's start with what we have here. This is I'm reading off the box, by the way. This is how much I know about this stuff. We have an ROG Strix Z490E gaming motherboard.
Yep, that's from Asus.
Okay, it's from Asus. Okay, all right, we're doing good. So why are we getting this bad boy?
Look, we could have gone with any Z490 motherboard. Because we went with a 10700K, that kind of forced our hand, so to speak. We wanted a Z490 motherboard so that we could take advantage of extra overclocking if we wanted to.
So overclocking, for those that don't know, is like getting more power out of your car. It just means that you run the clock of the, like, basically you're running it faster than it would originally be intended.
Think of it like a tune, like you're remapping basically your air fuel mixtures. Like that's a car example, but you're kind of doing the same thing here. You're forcing the CPU to work harder. Now, as a consequence of that, the CPU will run a bit hotter, which explains why we have a 360 mil AIO over there from Fractal Design.
Okay, so this right here, this multicolored boy right here, this is a liquid cooler. Usually when you have any sort of processor, it comes with a air cooler, and actually you can get some efficient air coolers. They're like just these huge fans right on top of the processor, but I am a fancy boy, and I like this one because it can turn different colors, and it also keeps things very cool. I'm gonna be geeking out a lot on this because this is new to me. This is like completely new to me. This is an 860 watt?
Yeah, 860 watt power
supply.
Yep.
So it's an 860 watt power supply, and it is platinum rated.
Platinum rated.
So Can you explain what that means?
So, in a nutshell, the platinum rating is a way to rank efficiency for power supplies. You have a ratio of the amount of power pulled from the wall versus the amount of power that the power supply itself then sends to the components. You want that ratio to be as narrow as possible.
Right, so it's like drivetrain loss, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. You're not wasting power, so to speak. And this amounts to, I mean, depending on how much you use your PC, a few dollars a month. Typically, more efficient power supplies tend to be built a bit better. I mean, that's kind of a consequence of better build quality overall as you get a more efficient layout as well.
This would essentially be kind of like either the transmission or the drive line or maybe even the tires, something like that. That would be like the more efficient and the more power you can get to the ground, the better it's going to be.
Exactly. I like the tire analogy because you could have 700-800 horsepower to the wheels, but if your wheels are garbage, you know, we're talking like 215, something like that, you just can't put the power down, it's wasted, more or less.
You want to talk about 215s? You want to know what your Ferrari comes with?
Okay, the fronts. Okay.
The fronts are 215s, my friend.
It's not all-wheel drive, so...
If you want to have 215s, literally the car behind them. On top of this, we also have the Meshify C case, which we will take out of the box at some point when we take everything else out of the box, so you can see what that looks like. And then we have, well, we already talked about this a little bit, but this is a Intel i7 10700K. So this is the, what lake are they on now? What lake are they fishing in? This is a Comet Lake processor, and this is a 8-core processor.
Yep, 8 cores, 16 threads. You have hyper-threading on board.
Okay, so it runs at 4.8 gigahertz, and you can overclock it, or, well, this is a K, so that means that it has like a boost function, essentially.
Yeah, they'll all boost, so to speak, but the K SKUs denote like manual overclocking support on top of that. So this CPU will actually boost to 5.1 gigahertz. Now that you'll maybe only get that on 1 or 2 cores under very heavy workloads, maybe in gaming, but you could force all 8 cores, for example, to boost to 5.1 gigahertz. Gonna be a lot hotter, it'll make your system run a lot louder, but you'll see performance gains, depending on the workload.
This is coupled with these guys. This is the RAM, so this is HyperX, I'm gonna look on the 32 gigabytes DDR4 3000, 288 pin UDIM. That's what we got right here. What is the difference between like good RAM and bad RAM? Like, how would you know what to get?
Frequency, timings, things that in the real world for Intel systems aren't going to make a huge difference. They will make a difference though, and again, it depends on the application. The sweet spot for RAM, in my opinion, is around 3,000 to 3,600 megahertz, somewhere in that range, with pretty tight timings. And then for a content creation focused build, 32 gigs is, in my opinion, the sweet spot from a value standpoint.
With this, we also have upgradability. We can expand it if need be. You can get 32 gigs, and it's a very good starting point, and you could go to 64 or more if you need to. So RAM is random access memory, and this is just a way of storage for your computer, but just kind of a temporary storage, correct?
It's temporary and it's very fast. So if your CPU needs access to large chunks of data in a very short amount of time, you don't want induced latency as a result of your storage, it'll use RAM.
One thing that we're going to use as far as storage that isn't necessarily RAM is this. Is an Intel Optane SSD 9. I know nothing about this. You can tell me, because apparently I'm not to touch this, and this is like gold.
This is a pretty fancy drive. Now, it's not going to be the fastest drive. There are certain applications where having an Intel Optane 905P like this one here would be beneficial. This is more or less Intel flexing their muscles for your rig, and for this video they wanted to kind of show off. This drive is actually, at least last time I checked, over $1,000.
So this is like the Pops and Crackles tune.
Yeah, this is right. This is
the Rodeo Drive Pops and Crackles.
This is going to use the U.2 interface, and it's going to have a pretty sweet, pretty long lifespan as well.
Okay, cool. As far as other drives, I do have hard drives on my old system that we will be putting over, just so we can do a one-to-one comparison on like 4K editing, just to see what render times do on my old PC and my new PC. But what a lot of people basically boiled down a PC build into is the graphics card. And the graphics card is like, that's everything. That's basically like your engine, even though your engine's most likely a processor. This is like...
These are the turbos.
Yeah, these are the turbos. That's a perfect analogy. That's a perfect analogy. These are the nice little twin turbskis. So right here, we have an Asus 2070 Super?
Yep, 2070 Super.
Yeah, so this is a very, very good graphics card. I actually have a an old 1080.
Which is still good.
Yeah,
Still
which
good.
is good. This has this is more numbers, so I'm guessing that's better.
It's a newer architecture. Yeah, you're gonna have ray tracing and Turing cores in there. It's debatable whether or not you're actually going to need those for most of the games that you play. It'll enhance some of the visual aspects, the reflections.
Right.
But I wanted you to have specifically an NVIDIA graphics card because we're going to use CUDA acceleration in Premiere Pro, which that software suite does very well.
Yes, that is actually why we chose all this.
Yep.
We could have gone with an AMD setup, but this takes advantage very well of the what is it? The IP, not IPS. I was about to say IBS. that's what we're gonna get after lunch. So the CPU takes advantage of IGP, which is now going to be rolled into the Adobe Premiere, correct?
Yeah, so Premiere actually, it's been out for the IGPs for a while. It's just called hardware acceleration, and I'll show you possibly later in the video how to set that up so that you can utilize it. That's part of the reason why we went with this. If you didn't have the IGP and this enabled and you compared it to, let's say, a 3900X, that CPU would outperform this just from sheer core count alone. But with the inclusion of an IGP here, which the 3900X, for example, does not have, you're going to have two different core clusters, so to speak, working together to render a video in Premiere Pro.
Okay, cool. So all that sounds great. We have our work cut out for us. Now, one good thing about working on computers is you don't get so dirty.
Yeah.
You get a little bit dirty because we're working on a literally rusty table. So I'm sorry about that. It's probably a little bit dirtier than you used to.
No.
But all you need is some screwdrivers and maybe some other stuff, but I think we'll be able to put this together and then see if hopefully it posts, right?
It should, yep, crossing our fingers.
Okay, cool. So let's get to work. What do we have here? So this is
I actually have no idea.
the mother. You have no idea?
No, I know what that
if
is.
you have no idea, we are in trouble. I'm gonna break this.
I'm not even sure if that's designed to be open.
There's stuff in here. There's things in here.
Yeah, but it could be a trap.
It is it's a trap, dude. And it has a good weight to it. You know, that's how you know a good motherboard is good.
Multiplayer PCB.
Now, question on a new processor: do you use thermal paste?
Yeah, that is advisable.
The question that I previously asked sounded really stupid, but my old one had 8 RAM slots.
Yep.
And I didn't know that you couldn't just put it into anyone.
Oh gosh.
So I turned on the computer and I was like, why isn't this working? Yeah. I had to wait until I Googled it, and then people yelled at me on the internet and they told me I was doing it wrong.
Yep.
So that's how I figured out. Yeah.
There you go.
Now,
more
well, actually,
I didn't hit something really expensive, did I?
there's nothing expensive in here. Now that I have successfully angered all of my sponsors, I will put this PC together on my own.
I really hope this fits, though. I gotta say.
Is that a concern of yours now?
Kind of eyeballed it, just like on paper.
Okay.
I didn't do any real measurements. You ever do that with cars? You're like, yeah.
Never. That never happens. No.
Okay.
I probably have the pin guard on.
Yeah, you should check.
Boom, like that. I was just gonna slam it in there. Okay. You just push down real hard until you hear something snap, right?
You gotta show them this tab. Yeah, this side needs a little bit of work.
I don't think so. I think that's fine. You just look. Here's a cover. We put the cover on. It's gonna be like, you ever pack for a vacation, and then like at the end of the vacation, this is what you have, and you're like, we just gotta get home.
But this is the beginning of the vacation. You're just about to enjoy it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I got them there.
Fine. All right, and we're done.
What do you think?
It's good.
It looks better than it did.
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I'm working with stock cables here.
7 out of 10. Okay, now we hear all the excuses.
You know what?
Okay, no, it looks really, really good. Now we are like for realsies gonna power this on and see what.
You get to do the plastic peel.
Ooh, my hairs are standing right on end. We do need some peripherals and like a monitor and stuff, right?
Gonna need one of those.
I brought this from home.
Ooh.
So here's my daily driver monitor, and I like it. It's an LG something or other that's been discontinued, but it looks nice and snazzy, and it has a bunch of fingerprints on it. So that's good. Now we're just going to connect everything. I actually have my old system. We're going to connect all the hard drives and stuff, and then boot this up and see how everything runs.
How much faster it is.
How much faster it is. All right, before we do any sort of testing with the new system, I figure we should probably do some testing with the old system. Now here is my workhorse. It has a Intel 6800 something. It's a Broadwell E, right?
Broadwell E.
Yeah, so it's a 6-core, has a water-cooled block, has a water-cooled video card, a GTX 1080, has 2 SSDs, 2 hard drives, and here I am with my latest found on Auto Tempest video, or at least like a 7-minute clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this, and we're going to see how long it takes, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the new system to see how fast it is. And if it's not any faster, then that's going in the garbage. So I'm saying that on camera. If it's not any faster, I'm going to throw all that stuff right in the garbage, and no, I'm not going to tell you where that garbage is. Okay, so we are going to be doing high bit rate, 4K. Let's do constant bit rate of 20. And that's going to be just over a gigabyte. And let's write that to one of the SSDs. And here we go. Realistically, a 7-minute clip would probably take me about 7 minutes to render, or maybe a little bit more. Right now it's saying 10 minutes and 40 seconds, which sounds about right. So I'd really want to get that down, because the more you up the bit rate, the longer it takes. In performance, my CPU is at 100%. And that's across all cores, and it's just maxed out. The memory is basically doing nothing. It's at 34%, so I'm not using anywhere near my 64 gigs of memory. The disk is at 1%, so it's not even writing that fast. My GPU is at 20-something%, but it's going up and down. So yeah, it's not being used very much at all, but it's just the CPU is a big bottleneck. Okay, so we have the rendered file. And we were actually taking a stopwatch measurement. That was 12 minutes and 56 seconds. So if that computer can't beat 12 minutes and 56 seconds, then it's going in the garbage. So let's... I'm serious. I'm serious. It's going in the garbage. Yeah, it's going in the garbage. Now, what we're going to do is connect that. We're going to connect all my stuff, my hard drives and my SSDs, and we're going to test out that system. So let's get to that. Okay, now, moment of truth. We have the new system, we have all my drives installed, and we have everything sort of connected where it should be connected. I hope I don't hear a pop or a crack or a sizzle, because that's not what we want to do in a very expensive PC. So, turn it on. All right, we have lights. We have lights. Now, we just press this button up top, and hey! Ooh. That's real nice. So all the RGB here is customizable. You have the RAM, you have the AIO, you have the motherboard itself, and the graphics card, and the fans up here in the front, which are really, really cool. Quite literally. Should be able to get into my drives, because it's not a huge hardware difference. Okay. Now everything is the same. We will put it on constant bit rate of 20. 1, 2, 3. All right. it's already at 2 minutes 30 seconds. It's going down. Wow. It's yeah, it's already at 10%. Wow. So the CPU is at 29%, 33, 35, and it's different throughout the cores. It's not just pegged on all the cores, and this is really cool. So we have our GPU at 53%, so the GPU is actually handling more. That's the onboard graphics, right? Yep. So that's the onboard graphics handling a lot of this, and that's why we chose this chipset. And we have the graphics card handling 60%. So like, it really is putting everything, like delegating a lot of responsibility. And let's just check back on, it's already like halfway done. We're at a minute. We were, what was it, 12 minutes before?
Almost 13 minutes.
Almost 13 minutes. Okay, so it just finished at 3 minutes and 28 seconds, less than 3.5 minutes, when the old one was almost 13 minutes. I got 10 minutes off rendering time, which is just insane. And that is not even like overclocked or nothing. Nope. So there's still more to go. in this system, but like I am very, very happy. I think that's it. I think I'm very happy. I think this is definitely not going in the garbage. And I actually have an announcement for you guys. I think you're gonna like it. All right, so that is gonna be it. I am super happy. Thank you so much, dude. You just knocked this out of the park. I sort of put it together, which is why it works. It had nothing to do with your amazing skills. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for showing me like how to do this. I've done this before, sort of, kind of like at an amateur level, but like now that I know what things do and where they should go and the reasoning behind where the components go, it really makes a lot of sense. And this computer looks just amazing.
Yeah, so, it really does.
I want to give a big shout out to Fractal Design. They set up everything here, and they have an amazing case and power supply and AIO. And Intel and Asus and everybody else that made this computer as good as it can be. Now, this computer is very good, and I want to prove it by giving one of these away. So we didn't just get components for one PC, we got components for two. So I don't know what the details of that are going to be yet, but I'm going to reveal that in a future episode. So stay tuned for that. I'm definitely going to be giving away an awesome editing rig and maybe some other stuff, but I'm not going to give that away. For now, this was an amazing weekend build. You can do this stuff in your house. I mean, in your garage, I guess. That's where we are. So you can do this in your house over a weekend. It didn't really take too long, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. And now I have an awesome editing rig that will last me for many, many years and will never get eclipsed by anything ever. This is future-proof, right?
That is totally how technology works.
So until next time, this is me reminding you guys that, well, it's not going to be just me, because this guy, Greg Salazar, definitely go check him out on his channel. He also does a bit of wrenching. Now, would you say wrenching, or do you use like screwdrivers or
screwdrivering, something like that? Does that roll off the tongue?
We can say what that is, but that's going to get us demonetized. So, yes. Until next time, you need to build it better, and to do that, you need to wrench every
week.
Yeah,
something like that.
But make it good. See you guys.